Hello, and welcome to another video. In this one, we're going to be talking about Git-lfs, which stands for Large File Storage, which is an extension to Git that was written by GitHub, and I'm going to show you how it works. Okay, so I guess just to start, if you want to learn more about Git-lfs, I would recommend checking out their docs. It's git-lfs.github.com with a dash, and you can install this alongside Git and set it up. I'm not going to go over the installation today, but I'm going to show you how it kind of works. So first I have a repository that I found on GitHub that uses LFS. It just seems to be a sample repository. So let's clone that repository. github.com/this. And if we cd into this repository, you'll notice that the repository size is relatively small. It's 600 kilobytes. There is this large file.zip here, which is actually, I think, 200 some odd megabytes. But the way it gets stored in with Git-lfs is kind of clever. So what it does is, if we look at, well, I don't have Babby in here. If we look at this file, the way it gets stored in the Git repository is just this small set of metadata here. First, a little marker that says how this file is versioned and set up. So this is, the Lfs spec version 1, and it sets a SHA-256 for the actual, identifier for where the file is, and a size checksum so that you can, retrieve this file just given this information. And this is what happens when you don't have Git-lfs installed. So I don't have Git-lfs installed in this Docker container or in this repository, but if we go and install that by doing apt install git-lfs, this installation is going to be different depending on your platform, but this is, for instance, how you could install it on Ubuntu. Now that I have Git-lfs installed, there's a few things that we need to do to get set up. The first is to run git-lfs install. Git-lfs install. This will set up a few things. One of them is, you'll notice it says updated Git Hooks. This is kind of how Git-lfs works behind the scenes. So if we look at the Git Hooks that it made here, it should have made 2 or 3 of them? 4 of them, I guess. Post-checkout, post-commit, post-merge, and pre-push. And so all of these are used to run the Git-lfs commands behind the scenes. And what those are going to do are they're going to swap out your large files for that little teeny bit of metadata. And that little teeny bit of metadata is all that gets stored in your repository. But if we look at, post-checkout, for instance, what it does is it tries to find the git-lfs command, and then it runs git-lfs post-checkout. I believe the other ones are similar to that. So if we look at like pre-push, for instance, yeah, you'll see it runs git-lfs pre-push with whatever arguments. And so, git-lfs does some magical stuff behind the scenes. I'm going to kind of show you how that works. One part of it is git attributes. And git attributes allows you, well, what it does is it uses a smudge filter. I believe it's called a smudge filter. But what it does is it, does some backing stuff using LFS magic to make this file look on disk like it's that actual zip file. But in reality, inside the Git index, it's just that small bit of metadata. And you'll notice here that, we've also marked it as not text, but we've marked merge diff as LFS. This way, if you do git diff against this file, it will use LFS to modify how that diff looks. And it also uses this filter so that the file, when you check it in, is not actually the giant file. Now, you'll notice that if I look at this, well, we have to do apt install file to do that because we're in a Docker container that has very little stuff. So let's get loop magic going here. If we do file on this file large file.zip, you'll see that it's ASCII text. This is the metadata version. If I do git checkout, I believe, this will run the git-lfs stuff. Oh, maybe not. How do I get it to set up? Git-lfs, one of these things. Git-lfs Fetch. Let's try that. Okay, cool. So this will download that big old zip file and populate it inside the repository for me. Now you'll notice this is taking forever, whereas the initial clone was very fast, and that's because the files are stored in a separate storage. GitHub provides some LFS storage for free, although I think you have to pay for it if you go over a certain amount, but it basically stores those binary blobs separate from your repository, so you can, you version them separately. You can kind of think of it like a symlink, but it's not really like that. But now, I still didn't check it out. I don't use it very often, so how do we migrate history? No. Check out any required working tree files. Git-lfs pull. Let's try that. Is this going to put the file in the right place? No. Why is this so tricky? Update the Git Hooks, pull, status. I know if we reclone it, it will use those Git hooks from the Git template to check it out on disk. So let's just do that. So this clone is taking a lot longer because git-lfs is processing those files behind the scenes. I still don't know the right command to do here, but that's fine. In normal cases, you would be starting with something that's not git-lfs and converting it into something that's git-lfs, or cloning something that uses LFS, such as this, and probably not, cloning it without the tooling setup. Still, I'm not sure what command it was here. But anyway, after we've cloned this second one to repo 2, we should now see that this large file has been checked out as this, 200 megabyte zip here. But anyway, that's kind of a short introduction to Git-lfs. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have additional things you want me to explain, leave a comment below or reach out to me on the various platforms. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.